As 2024 comes to an end, I am thinking back over this past year, and it has been an amazing ride. But I want to share with you today 3 things I've learned about my poker career in 2024 that I think can help you in 2025. My name is Rob Gardner. I'm a 20+ year poker professional, and I love teaching people about how to play the game of poker and how to make poker more fun. And this has been a wild year for me because I feel like I am peaking and playing the best poker of my career, but I've actually probably played less volume this year than I have any year in the last 15 years. The extra time I've had on the side has really given me a lot of opportunity to reflect and think about some of the adjustments I've made this year and some of the adjustments I want to lean into even further in 2025. So let's talk about 3 things I learned and how they can help you. Number 1, unpopular plays win poker tournaments. This has been such a valuable lesson for me. You get in a tournament, you make a play, you run it by your friends, everybody runs to the solvers and all of their history, and they say, oh, you have to play this hand a certain way. While solvers can be great and baselines can be great, not having the creativity to get outside the box in a very specific situation can cost you a lot of money and a lot of opportunity, especially in live tournaments. This past week, I had the amazing opportunity to play at the WPT $5 million free roll in Las Vegas. I made it all the way to day 2 and finished 33rd for $6,000. But I played a hand on day 1 that I think almost nobody would agree with my play, and it ended up saving me my tournament life. We were in level 6. There was a raise from the button off of about 45 bigs. I had ace-9 suited in the big blind. I elected to just call instead of 3-betting while both plays would have been fine. And the flop came ace-king 3 with 2 hearts. I checked and my opponent checked back, which was really weird to me at the time because this is one of the best c-bet spots for his entire range. This was also a very aggressive player who had been doing a lot of betting. I was fully prepared to call a street here and was absolutely stunned when he checked back. The turn was a 9 of clubs, which gave me 2 pair and put 2 flush draws on the board. I proceeded to lead out for about 65% pot. My opponent tanked for about a minute and then raised to 3x the size of my raise. Calling would have represented about 33 to 40% of my stack, and there were 2 flush draws out there. So I was pretty much in a decision to either shove and realize equity or simply fold. Some people might advocate for calling here, but I don't really like it because there's all kinds of awkward river cards and we really don't have visibility over where we're at in the hand unless you're calling on the turn, just committing to calling river no matter what and hoping that our opponent is bluffing too much. Now, if you put this hand into the solver, it is going to be a pure call through and through, and the vast majority of players are never ever folding 2 pair on a turn in a situation where there's 2 flush draws on the board. But I could not get away from my opponent's check on the flop. It didn't make a lot of sense to me. It didn't seem like the kind of check that this type of opponent would make, which meant to me that this was some really weird and unusual situation. If you were going to check the flop, the most likely candidate would be showdown value hands, like maybe a weak king or pocket queens or pocket jacks or pocket tens. None of those hands should be raising on the turn. I waited so long I got the clock called on me. How the heck do you fold there? Well, my opponent had ace king. He flopped 2 pair, checked it back on the flop and slow played it and allowed me to make a bet on the turn and then raised. Had we got it in, I think I had him covered by like 3 or 4 big blinds. So I would have been basically whittled down to dust early to mid stages of this tournament. It was about 30 minutes later that I went on a huge rush of cards and ran 30K up to almost 130K in less than an orbit. And that really propelled me into the money and deep into the tournament. Point here is if you're really getting good at this game and studying this game, you have to trust your instincts because those instincts are whittled over time, practice, study, and sometimes those instincts are going to lead you to do things that your friends or the solvers or the status quo is going to tell you is wrong. But trusting your gut is going to be the difference sometimes between a deep run and a nice score and busting 6 levels into a tournament. The second lesson I learned in 2024 is that late stage aggression is one of the most critical and valuable poker skills you can learn or master. The reason for this is very simple. All of the money is on the top of tournaments. Oftentimes, first place is anywhere from 15 to 33% of the prize pool, with second place and third place about half of that, and it goes down dramatically from there. This means you can be really, really great at poker tournaments, and play really consistently through poker tournaments. But if you struggle in the late stages of tournaments, the final table bubble, the final table, the final five, it can absolutely destroy your profit and your ROI. And poker is already a high variance game. If you're not doing the types of things that reduce your variance at late in tournaments, it makes the variance even more extreme. For me, one adjustment I really made that has had a massive impact on my ROI and the variance I'm facing is learning to increase my aggression in the late stages of tournaments. Where other players are tightening up on the final table bubble or at the final table trying to get ladders, I'm learning how to better attack these players and win more pots without showdown, doing some more lighter 3-betting, do some more lighter check raising, doing some more lighter double barreling. That's allowing me to win more of these pots before a showdown, which is actually reducing my variance. Our instincts and our subconscious always want us to slow down in these spots, be more cautious, try to lock up a few more pay jumps to take the quote safer route. But in reality, the safer route when everybody else is taking the safe route is to do the opposite and be aggressive and win a lot of these pots where you don't have to hit the nuts or hit your river card in order to win a big pot. And those pots add up over the final stages of the tournament. The third and final lesson that's been really valuable to me in 2024 is that game selection is everything. This past summer, I went to Vegas for 5 weeks, and after a horrific experience unrelated to poker at my first tournament, I decided to lay low the first week and play mostly online poker. And what happened over the next 4 weeks in Vegas was absolutely fascinating. I only ended up playing 8 live poker tournaments despite being in Vegas for almost 5 full weeks, putting instead a majority of my time into the online grind. Having access to WSOP.com in addition to all the other sites I play really allowed me to get a lot of volume in, and I was void of the distractions I would normally have at home with family and kids and pets. I was able to really lock in and play my A game. The end result was I had a very successful 5-figure summer where the vast majority of my friends lost money playing a lot of live tournaments in Vegas. One thing I did notice when I did venture out and I played a few of the WSOP events that my friends really pushed me to play, they weren't that soft. There were a lot of Europeans, a lot of internationals, a lot of very aggressive players in these tournaments, and it didn't seem anywhere near the value that everybody says it is. That didn't mean we didn't have some live poker success though. We did end up finishing 17th in a tournament at the Golden Nugget that had over $100,000 to first. We lost a key flip late, but it was still a very nice chunk of money towards the summer bankroll. But all in all, looking back at it, I really felt like the best value was playing online. And nobody could believe that I was committing so much time to the online grind after driving literally halfway across the country to participate. I say all that to say it's really important when you're trying to decide where to play, what tournaments to play, what stakes to play, because there's a lot of group speak and there's a lot of cliche when it comes to things like value in the poker world. And everybody's like, oh, this is a must play. Oh, you've got to play this. And in reality, you got to be objective and look at the situation and go, is this really good value? Or is this just what people think are good value? And let's be honest, a lot of people don't know what a good value tournament actually looks like. They're only focused on how much money they can win instead of thinking about how much variance the field has, how good the structure is, how tough the competition is, and how much that field is catered to what your strengths specifically are. If you have a heavy focus on GTO and theory and you study solvers, yeah, a European heavy field is probably gonna be really good for you. But if you play low to mid stakes, you really focus on exploits and taking advantage of weaker players, you're probably not going to want to sit in a $600 WSOP event with 7 people who are from outside of the country and there's 3 bets every single hand. And I see a lot of people who are so stubborn about these things that it leads them to having massive swings every summer, with the vast majority of those summers ending very poorly. Whereas now I've had 3 trips in a row to Vegas where I've had very successful results. I would love to hear from you what you learned about poker in 2024. Drop some of your best lessons and some of the things you're looking back on in this year that have changed the trajectory of your poker career. Share them in the comments so others can see them as well. And be sure to hit the like and subscribe button below so you can know when our videos come out 3 times a week. It's been a wonderful 2024, but I know we're going to have an even bigger 2025. Here's to our next year.